And then you put your hands on.
Critics of TLC argue that the network is playing a dangerous game by pushing the lawsuit so aggressively, as it risks not only alienating fans but also damaging its own brand reputation as the home of emotionally resonant, if controversial, human stories, since viewers may begin to see the network less as a storyteller and more as a corporate enforcer willing to destroy the lives it helped elevate, and that reputational damage could be long-lasting, particularly in an era when streaming platforms and independent creators offer alternative spaces for talent to tell their stories directly to audiences without the same gatekeeping or contractual entanglements, though defenders of the network counter that allowing stars to break contracts without consequence would set a precedent that undermines the stability of the industry and could make production unmanageable, given that reality shows often involve hundreds of hours of filming, millions in production costs, and intricate coordination of crews, sponsors, and schedules, all of which rely on participants adhering to agreed-upon commitments. For the sisters themselves, however, the legal jargon and corporate calculations translate into a far more personal nightmare. Amy reportedly breaks down frequently over fears of losing her home and being unable to provide for her children, while Tammy struggles with both the physical toll of stress on her already fragile health and the psychological strain of watching years of progress and newfound independence hang in the balance, and though they remain largely silent publicly, sources suggest that behind closed doors, conversations oscillate between desperation, anger, and cautious hope, as family members urge them to fight for their dignity while advisors caution them about the risks of escalating against a powerful network with deep legal resources. Speculation about possible outcomes only intensifies the drama. In one scenario, TLC secures a decisive legal win, forcing the sisters to pay heavy damages, relinquish social media control, and accept permanent separation from the network, effectively ending their television careers and reducing their legacy to a cautionary tale, while in another scenario, the sisters countersue with evidence of coercion, manipulation, or unsafe production practices, turning the tables and exposing TLC to public outrage, regulatory scrutiny, and potential industry-wide reforms, an outcome that, though unlikely given the asymmetry of resources, could nevertheless redefine the ethics of reality TV production if even partially substantiated, and in a third, perhaps more pragmatic scenario, both sides quietly negotiate a settlement, allowing TLC to protect its image while the sisters salvage some financial stability, though such a deal would almost certainly involve gag orders, restrictions on future media appearances, and an ambiguous ending for fans who crave narrative closure. Beyond the immediate legal chess match, cultural critics point out that the lawsuit epitomizes the contradictions of reality television itself. The same medium that promises authenticity often manufactures drama. The same contracts that elevate ordinary people to fame also bind them into rigid systems of control, and the same audiences who claim to care about stars' well-being often demand the very content that jeopardizes it, a paradox that Tammy and Amy's saga makes impossible to ignore, particularly as fans wrestle with their own complicity in a cycle that rewards vulnerability with attention but punishes missteps with ridicule and abandonment. For all the speculation, one fact is indisputable. The lawsuit has already taken a severe emotional toll on the sisters, with insomnia, panic attacks, and family tensions reportedly escalating as court dates loom, and regardless of whether they emerge victorious, defeated, or somewhere in between, their lives will likely never return to the relative normalcy they once knew before cameras entered their Kentucky home, a reminder that the price of reality television is often measured not only in contracts and ratings but also in human suffering, resilience, and the irretrievable loss of privacy. The broader industry, too, cannot escape the shadow of this case, as executives, producers, and aspiring stars alike are forced to confront uncomfortable questions about what is acceptable in the pursuit of entertainment and profit, questions that may ultimately determine whether the genre evolves into a more accountable, transparent form of storytelling or doubles down on the exploitative practices that have fueled its most dramatic successes, and as the world waits for the next court filing, the next leak, or the next public statement, it becomes increasingly clear that this is not just the story of two sisters from Kentucky but a referendum on reality television itself, its power, its perils, and its uncertain future. For now, the sisters themselves have remained largely silent in public, avoiding direct commentary as the legal storm intensifies, but friends and relatives have spoken anonymously to the press, describing both women as scared, heartbroken, and overwhelmed. Amy, they say, is trying to maintain a sense of normalcy for her children while privately battling anxiety about the family's financial and professional future, and Tammy, though stronger in health than she has been in years, is coping with heightened stress and worry that her progress could be undone by the emotional toll of this lawsuit, and together, the two face the frightening possibility that both their personal lives and professional legacies, which have always been intertwined with the show, are at risk of unraveling. The stakes could not be higher, because the lawsuit touches on careers, finances, family stability, and the trust of millions of viewers who have invested in their story, and the uncertainty has left fans oscillating between hope for a resolution and dread of an irreversible collapse. Entertainment insiders have outlined 3 main scenarios, each more dramatic than the last, and while the outcome remains uncertain, examining these possibilities illustrates the gravity of what is at play. In the first scenario, TLC secures a decisive courtroom victory, forcing Tammy and Amy to repay millions in damages, relinquish control over their social media content, and sever ties permanently with the network, an outcome that would not only cause financial devastation but also erase the legacy of the £1,000 sisters by ending it abruptly without closure, leaving fans to process the cancellation of one of the most dramatic and poignant reality shows of recent memory. The second, more combustible possibility involves the sisters retaliating with a countersuit, using rumored production memos, behind-the-scenes footage, and corporate emails as evidence that TLC coerced them into unsafe behaviors, deliberately staged or manipulated situations, and potentially violated labor or safety regulations, a scenario that could trigger a public scandal exposing the network's inner workings and permanently altering industry ethics. And the third, a quieter but still seismic option, involves a highly publicized settlement, in which both sides agree to avoid a trial in exchange for financial concessions and strict non-disclosure terms, an arrangement that might shield TLC from embarrassment while sparing the sisters total financial ruin but potentially silencing them permanently, and forcing their exit from the show, leaving fans unsatisfied and raising fresh questions about transparency in the genre. Regardless of which path materializes, the litigation will leave permanent marks on Tammy and Amy's lives, because even beyond the financial risk, the emotional strain has been immense, with friends describing anxiety, restless nights, and constant fear about the future as daily realities. And in this sense, the court battle is not only a business dispute but also a psychological ordeal for a family whose existence has been lived under the constant gaze of cameras. The case also raises deeper questions about the long-term viability of reality television itself, because networks suing their own stars introduces a chilling dynamic that could erode trust between cast members and producers. If networks are willing to pursue aggressive legal action against the very individuals whose stories make them millions, then future participants may become more guarded, less willing to reveal intimate details, or more cautious about signing contracts without legal counsel, and the ripple effects could fundamentally alter how shows are produced, casting a shadow of litigation risk over every dramatic storyline and every emotional revelation. For viewers, too, the lawsuit strikes at the heart of their investment in reality television, because fans who have spent years following the Slaton sisters now find themselves questioning whether they were watching authentic struggles or manufactured drama, and whether their emotional support contributed to empowerment or exploitation, and as they flood online forums with speculation, theories, and heartfelt messages, they brace for either the abrupt end of a beloved show or a shocking comeback that could expose hidden truths about the network, and in either case, the relationship between viewers and reality television may never be the same again. What makes the situation even more poignant is the broader symbolism of the sisters' journey, from their early struggles with obesity and health scares to their attempts at personal transformation. The Slatons embodied themes of resilience, vulnerability, and authenticity that resonated with millions. And now, in a cruel twist, those same themes have been transplanted into a legal arena, where the sisters must fight not only for their livelihoods but for their legacies, and the drama, once confined to episodes aired on TLC, now plays out in legal filings, leaks, and speculative headlines that could determine their fate. With court dates approaching, insiders warn that the proceedings will be messy, unpredictable, and possibly explosive, with both sides possessing information the other would prefer remain hidden, and as curiosity intensifies, media outlets speculate daily on which revelations might surface. From behind-the-scenes manipulation to private negotiations gone sour, and what those revelations might mean for the credibility of reality TV. Some legal analysts argue that if internal TLC documents confirm patterns of coercion or manipulation, the case could trigger regulatory scrutiny or industry-wide reforms, while others caution that even if the sisters win moral vindication, the financial and emotional costs may be too great to recover from fully. Either way, the world is watching closely, recognizing that the lawsuit is not just a dispute between two stars and a network but a moment of reckoning for an entire genre of entertainment, and as the Slatons prepare for a courtroom battle that could redefine their lives, one thing is undeniable. The outcome will be studied, debated, and remembered for years, not only as the fate of a beloved reality show but as a turning point in how reality television navigates the fragile balance between authenticity, exploitation, fame, and power. Would she survive the hospital stay? Would she be eligible for surgery? Would she make it to another episode? Viewers watched in horror but fascination as they watched a woman who seemed on the verge of catastrophe. That storyline, the inspirational underdog who refused to die, belongs to Tammy, not TLC, which is why the timing of her rumored new career move feels so perfect. She is no longer a cautionary tale, but a success story, and she knows she can sell that story herself without TLC twisting it into melodrama. However, the disaster storyline is gone now. Tammy defied the odds, lost weight, gained independence, and shocked the world by proving everyone wrong. Imagine Tammy starting her own YouTube channel and vlogging every day about her life after losing weight, her health advice, and her personal reflections. Millions of people would watch. Imagine Tammy starting a fitness clothing line for plus-size women who want comfort and style while working toward better health. She would instantly gain credibility because she has been there herself. Or imagine Tammy traveling the nation as a public speaker, inspiring others by sharing her story, not as a TLC character, but as a real person who overcame the possible. More startling, what if Tammy signed a contract with Netflix, Hulu, or Amazon Prime for a solo documentary? An unvarnished, unadulterated look into her life, the hardships TLC omitted, the personal suffering, the unvarnished truth. A documentary like that could